So the continuing lesson of rootstock, this was grafted Methley Plum, and that's all rootstock. All that has to be cut away. I will probably get on my hands and knees with my saw and cut those away instead of doing it with this or the big loppers. I have to be just real careful not to get dirt in my saw because it'll mess up the blade. It'll dull the blade. But yeah, all of this is rootstock, so all of this is going to be cut out in the pruning. And also, just like a peach, this is a Japanese plum. There's two kinds of plums. The European plums don't need as much pruning, and they don't make as much growth. But this grows pretty much like a peach. It has a lot of vigor. To slow it down, I know that we have a Bruce plum over that way, and that tree doesn't need as much pruning, and it stays in a small shape. I don't want this one to get away from me. I'm going to take about 1/3 of this tree away, if I can get to it. And I'll probably use the saw. And 2 years ago, I was pretty, I guess, ruthless with trying to get this guy in shape because I had never pruned him and he grew so fast. There's a 5-inch diameter piece here and about a 4-inch diameter piece here. There's about a 4-inch diameter piece here. There's a 4-inch diameter piece here. All of those I cut. Look what happens in 2 years from where I cut back. You get all of this. And of course I don't want anything coming in the middle. I'll keep this. And I don't want any of this.
To cut that much out at one time?
You can cut about 1/3.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, especially with peaches and plums, Japanese plums.
Okay.
And even an old apple, you can do about 1/3.
After you cut, you something sealed it. Then this something.
I didn't seal any of these. No.
Oh, really?
And they did okay. This has some pretty severe winter. The south sun will come up after a really cold night, and it'll warm the tissue too quickly, and you'll get damage like that. And then there's a blastophaera kind of canker, airborne organism. The stuff we breathe, man, you wouldn't believe all the stuff that's in the air. But anyway, it gets on, it colonizes onto that really bad tissue, and then wham, I got half the tree that's been jeopardized. Although it's got enough cambium there, it's just going to screw. So it's.
Michael, do you ever spray disinfect between cuts or between species?
I don't. I know that's really good if you find fire blight. If you're cutting out fire blight, or if you're cutting out diseased wood in your tree, then yeah, then you'd want to dip in a Clorox solution or something while you're pruning. But I don't have any of that. You see how this is starting to bloom? We're gonna have bloom soon. I saw some white scale on there, so instead of I could spray dormant oil on there, but I just cut it off. It's not that much. You see that branch there? The wind has strength. See, they're intercrossing. So intercrossing is kind of a thing. You don't want intercrossing. You don't need it. And so that would be a couple of branches I would take out there, for sure. I'm going to open this up. I want it to look like an open vase, or like your hand with, you have a low trunk and then you have it spread out like that. And then of course it spreads out, but then it goes straight up. So I'm going to hopefully get about the upper third. I want to bring all of that down. And it's not like I'm not going to get fruit. Every one of those flowers is a fruit. This guy, what did we have? We picked a couple thousand off of here, didn't we?
We spent several days picking, and there
yeah,
was
and
still
Dan
some
was
left.
selling them at the market.
And the squirrels got plenty too.
And then there was 3 squirrels that we were trying to keep out of the tree, and all in that. And I still have plums in the freezer I haven't eaten yet. So she's, it's not like I can't cut this back and still get a good crop. And it'd be great. It's too much to just pick and put 2 inches between each bud, but you can. For plums, you can go like this when all the plums are just green marble size. You can go like this and get about 40% of them off. if you want to. They also get plum curculio. They get a worm. So, so if you're not spraying at all, you could get a total crop with just worms in them, and they're not going to fruit correctly. They're going to drop before they ripen. So plums are a challenge in our area because of plum curculio.
Sorry, but do you still use it when it's surround?
Yeah, I'll
Does that
spray.
help with the curculio?
Yeah, that's what I do. I spray the whole thing with a white clay, like kaolin clay, and it deters the little weevil-like mother insect walking around and depositing 400 eggs, one to each fruit. That's what she does all day.
Is that just plums, or does that attack other stuff too?
Plum curculio is bad on peaches, plums, just mostly your roseaceous. To somewhat extent apples, and to very less extent pears. Pears are your easiest to grow. Yeah. So this is a Japanese plum. It's red, and it's red outside and red inside. When you bite it, don't get too close to your neighbor, or you'll squirt your neighbor in the face. They're just little bags of plum sugar. They're just very good. And I think even though they have all this problem with, you know, getting the sun scaled and having to prune them a lot, they are a treat. They are a real treat. Good. It's good. It's a good, memorable tree. One of those ones you want to have in your house or your household.
Michael, I have a question. It's not quite garden related, but we've got a plum tree.
Florida, maybe even Orlando. Yeah, Orlando. And then you can grow it all the way up into upstate New York. It's quite adaptable. If you're in Maui and you're up at about 2,000 feet, you can grow it in Maui. So it's really adaptable. And of course, this comes from Japan, so probably they didn't have plum curculio in Japan either. They did have Oriental fruit moth, and when they brought the cherry trees for Washington for the bases, they introduced Oriental fruit moth, which is another worm that gets into the calyx of the, or the stem end of the fruit, goes down into the seed, comes out the other end. You know.
I have a couple mental leaps from scions. Did you say a little while ago that I cannot graft that onto cherry rootstock?
Yeah, there's a cherry called Mahaleb that you can't, and that may be a plum rootstock, but that's used a lot for sour cherries, and that could be used for plums. But if it's there's certain plum rootstocks that it probably wouldn't work well for. You can use peach on Bethlehem, or you can use straight myrobilum. Is that what we order in a rootstock called myrobilum, I think, for that, or myro plum, M-Y-R-O. Alrighty. So this is a young. Oh, yeah, that was dead. That's why that was so hard. This is a young peach tree. I want to take all of this dead wood here off. It got mauled by a deer that got in here a few years ago, and peaches. These are all peach flowers, just about every inch. So that whole thing's going to be just an array of pink petals, and that is that's great. But you only really want 2 peaches on this. So it's after it blooms, you're either going to take some of those peaches off, or you're going to cut this back. A lot of growers, when they have the time, they'll cut everything back a little bit like that. Also, I want to open up the center here. I can keep this on here because I know it's going to flower. It's not. This is going to flower too. But again, I'm leaving 1 peach on there, or 2 peaches, and that's basically all you need. So instead of fruit thinning, I'm doing that. Looks like Giles already cut this, and I would say the only thing I'm not sure about, do I really need this? This whole branch here, because I've got this and I'm trying to open it up. So it's very possible that I could like cut this off here and cut that off there, because that would help me stretch it out that way. I'm still going to get plenty of peaches, and it's just hard sometimes when you see all those fruits, future fruits, to cut it off like that. But after you finish it, you don't really notice. And I should have bigger loppers than this. But I should get my Cindy loppers.
So, Michael, if you have a spot,
Yeah, it's open.
All right, this is all dead, so you know I can cut that off. What'd you say?
if you have a spot that gets kind of late frosts, are there fruit trees that will flower later?
Jujubes flower in June.
Is that my only choice?
No, no, but that's a good one.
You gotta like jujube stuff. Good eat.
Yeah, they're kind of sweet.
Red Haven was bred for frost resistance, where the blooms will take a few more degrees than an early red free was bred for that. So you might just search, you know, peaches bred for late frost resistance, and you could try something like that. Or it may still be evident that you can't.
And buy it here.
Yeah, you can get a Red Haven here. And we've got Bella Georgia, that's kind of an old standby that probably has some of that same thing.
And dwarf.
So peach is usually on peach, and then you dwarf it yourself by pruning it. You know, like this is even getting a little bit away from me. But as far as he's taken that off, and I don't have a whole lot that I'm doing here to this guy. This is not that strong of a branch, so I may just do that to it I mean, that way it can still produce and still maybe grow out some I like, we got a lot of nice growth here. See this nice growth? That's all last year's growth, and it did well. So I'm happy with the tree. I think this year it's really going to take off. I may throw some fertilizer down here on it if I think of it, which is good because peaches like the fertilizer. They definitely like it. This is Frank's peach. He didn't get pruned forever. And it looks like Giles did a good job of opening it up this year. I'm still going to open it up more here. And I may take the saw and cut it right there because it's really getting too far extended. And I could keep this and one day thinking that I'm going to get rid of this whole thing and let this develop. Haven't decided yet. Take this out. This one's dead. And it looks like I can pick a lot of these with just a little step ladder and I'd be fine. I don't like where this branch is going, and it doesn't have a lot. That's all 2-year-old wood. You see what I mean? That, like this one here, it just doesn't have any of that vigorous wood. So basically get rid of him. Same thing with that. And this whole branch, it's just not a lot of vigor. This guy, I think he just got to be too much top, and it didn't put out a lot of new growth. So I probably can do a lot more with this guy. This peach's name is Frank. It is a really good peach, and it's very disease resistant. And I think we're going to have some for sale this year. Probably not until May. But I want to. See, I'm not seeing hardly any new wood on here. So what I keep on here, I need a saw for this. And I probably will take a lot of this out because I want to see some new growth. I maybe cut that back by 1/3. Like there's some fairly good growth, it looks like, going up here, but everything else around here, it just grew, but it kind of spurred. It didn't do a lot of that new growth like that young one had. And you want about 14 inches of new growth on your peach tree. If you're not getting 14 inches, you need to be ruthless and see if that'll regenerate it. And And if it regenerates, then good. I think this one needs another hour with me before I'm happy with it. And I don't mind sacrificing a year with the peaches because I'll get a few off of here. The squirrels don't get it because it's back here by the fence. Busy areas are great for fruit trees. You know, you put something out in the back 40 and then that's what you're planting for the wildlife. These are 2 plums. That one by nature has a nice look to it. This one, this 8th plum, it really needs to be cut back. Hopefully we'll get to that one. And as you can see, we're doing a lot of work here.
Do you have any damson fruit?
I don't. I used to have a damson. I actually took it out.
Disease.
Just dead. I don't know why you didn't see that. But there's some nice firewood, huh?
That's